This week we're doing a bit of an at-home video about our thinking about the rig and sail plan on Vida.
Particularly thinking today about sails. On our blog, the articles about why we've chosen Dyneema are by far the most popular, and we've got lots of videos in terms of what we've been doing for building the chain plates and the shrouds and testing them and so on. Today we're going to talk about sails though.
Well, that is a fun part.
Yes, and we're going to attempt technology marvellousness with the screencast as we do.
Keep your fingers crossed about that one. Well, if the technology is working, you should be able to see the original line drawing of the sail plan from
completely
Peter
Brett's signature on it.
Everything, of course, from 1977 is in feet and inches and square feet. Well, go on, Dave, run us through it.
So the Rival 38, by far the majority of the boats were built with an aft cockpit. I think something around 60 or 70 boats were built with an aft cockpit, and although there was a ketch option, I think they were all built as sloops, single mast, some of them cutters, some of them not. The Centre Cockpit ones, I think there were about half a dozen built, and 3 that we know of were built as ketches, and of those, 1 is no longer a ketch. They just took the mizzen mast down. So as far as we know, there's a ketch in Australia. They were just setting sail to go on a long voyage, and there's us. We don't know where the others are. So when you look at this drawing here, the difference from the aft cockpit is that the boom's about a foot higher so that it misses the wheelhouse here. On the single mast boats, the boom comes to about where our mizzen mast is. The ketch has 60 foot smaller main and an 80 square foot mizzen.
Something like that. And most people have changed various things about their sails.
Yes.
Since 1977, they might have added extra battens and all sorts of technical wizardry to make the sail bigger. But one of the things that didn't put us off was the fact that it was a ketch, because Dave is more technical than I am, and he quite
very technical. Ketches are beautiful.
They look pretty, but also not having such a large sail could be a benefit if there's only 2 of you on board.
Yes.
The sails are
obviously
smaller.
If you're not going for electric winches and all that stuff, smaller sails, cheaper, easier to handle, and splitting your rig into multiple sails means that if something goes wrong, if a sail fails, you have more options. For example, if we haven't got a spare mainsail and our mainsail completely blows out, we can still sail under jibs, genoas and the mizzen. There's advantages in terms of ocean going flexibility, safety, reefing options and so on. And the Rival is nice in that there is no stay connecting the mizzen mast and main mast. They are completely independent. If your main mast falls down, there's a fairly good chance
it won't bring the other one with. Well, there's a better chance than if they're connected, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So this is what Peter Brett drew, 1977. In those days, it was slab reefing main, slab reefing mizzen, and hank-on foresails. The list in the sail plan is you've got a storm jib, working jib, cruising genoa, number 2 genoa, and a ghoster. So 5 different sized sails hanked onto the forestay. One of the big criticisms of Rivals is that they're very slow, and particularly that they're very slow in light winds.
Maybe
we need a lot of wind to move, and that's really shown by a sail plan that is so focused on the white sails, on the sails that are permanently rigged up or on the stays. And there's just one spinnaker listed as a symmetrical spinnaker, but of course since 1977 things have moved on massively, and as we'll see, part of our goal with the changes we're making is to give us better light wind performance, more options than were possible in 1977.
But you're getting a bit ahead of yourself.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Because when we bought the boat, it did not have the sail plan that you see in that picture.
Nope.
Actually, well, it wasn't the same. It had been changed from the original, and we weren't that enamoured of some of the changes. so it had
the changes themselves were worn out, basically.
well, yes, the mechanism was for a furling main.
They put a riveted on in-mast furling system for the
It
mainsail.
wasn't in the mast, it was behind the mast.
It was riveted to the back of the mast but looked like an in-mast furler. That had two main problems. One problem is that it was such an old way of doing after-mast furling that it didn't really unfurl anymore. It took us ages to actually be able to pull the sail out, partly because it had been left furled for 3 years or so before we bought the boat. So the mechanism was worn out. That was one problem. These in-mast furlers have developed massively since then. So if money was no object, if we were throwing away old stuff, we could have bought a new Selden mast with brand new in-mast furling, and that would have solved a lot of the problems with what the boat came with. Because
no chance of that.
there was no chance of that. It was way outside
Not
our
even
budget.
close.
These older ones had negative roach, so that meant that the leech was curved. Let's draw it like that. So it reduced not just by the original 21 square foot of roach, which would have taken you to a straight line, it was reduced even further.
Small sail, even smaller.
Exactly, and that's because they couldn't fit battens in those very old systems. Nowadays they have vertical battens and various other techniques to be able to have some roach. That wasn't the only problem with it. The other problem was it didn't even reach the end of the boom.
Oh, yes,
So
I've forgotten that.
it was small in every single way and in very poor condition because it had been left in the mast for so many years. The other thing that was not original was, although we've got about 5 or 6 genoas and jibs of different sizes, the one that was on the boat was a roller furling genoa, an overlapping, I think it was to about there. So a roller furling genoa, absolutely enormous when we took it down. It was on a Furlex system, and it's quite interesting chatting to other owners at the moment that people with a smaller rival 34, actually have a beefier, next size up Furlex
So it
than
may
our
have been
rival
a bit of a
38.
budget version.
So it may have been a bit too small a version, undersized. And it was a bit bodged the way that the furling line was coming to the cockpit as well. So we wouldn't mind a brand new roller reefing genoa, but when you look at the photos of the boat sailing before we bought
Have
her.
we got a photo?
Yeah, there'll be a photo
Oh,
up
good.
on the screen
Magic.
now. We've got 3 or 4 photos of the boat sailing before we bought her, and again, this is 3 or 4 years before we bought her. You can see there's a huge bulge in the roller reefing genoa when it's partially rolled, which is a well-known problem with roller reefing. As soon as you start reefing, you get a poor sail shape. There's various sort of solutions to that. You can have foam in the luff to try to make it roll tighter in the middle. But at the end of the day, the problem with roller reefing is your sail shape is usually poor when reefing. As we were doing the sail plan stuff, we were thinking in terms of being fossil fuel free, electric motor, and so sailing performance is really important.
Despite getting such a slow boat, it's not so much the fact it's slow, it's the fact you want to be able to sail in all conditions. I think that's
Yes.
the critical thing. Plus we were also thinking about a redesign of the bow, not the bow, but the
bow
roller.
roller that the full
and
stay was attached to.
Yes, and all the
Yeah, you'll see again, there's other videos, we've made bow roller much bigger and beefier. It sticks out about 100 to 200 millimetres further so that we can self-stow the anchor. So
all those things led to us, well, as usual, just taking everything down. Basically, we got the roller on the back of the mast taken off by a
professional.
professional.
We thought originally he'd be able to do it without taking the mast down, but the mast came down, and
That's a good job.
yes, led to a whole load of cascading changes.
It's the same as everything. You think you don't want to do it, and then once you do it, you think, wow, it's a good job we did that.
Yes.
The whole mast was actually full of disintegrating polystyrene, so
Yes,
we got rid of that.
the inside had polystyrene that had just crumbled and was dropping to the bottom of the mast. There were
It was
numerous,
fun getting that out.
yeah, there were numerous fittings on the
Probably
mast.
put some pictures up of that.
Yeah,
actually.
that hadn't been properly galvanically isolated, so there were bits of corrosion, and the mast foot was in poor condition, as well. So a whole load of things were in poor condition, and also, as the rigger pointed out to us, we had a strange mixture of some original turnbuckles for tensioning the rig, and some that were newer, so there was a mixture of bronze and stainless. The rigging was already, when we bought Vida, over 10 years old, which of course causes you insurance problems. By the time we're launching, that would mean it was 15 years old.
Well, nobody wants that.
And then we got into what we're talking about in the Dyneema rigging, that the chain plates were very problematical. So we ended up thinking about our sail plan in the light of switching to Dyneema rigging everywhere. And that's Dyneema rigging, and you look at how many chain plates we've got. Running backstay for the mizzen, we've got the double backstay for the main mast, cap and lowers together for the mizzen, forward mizzen, aft lower, cap shroud, forward lower, and forestay. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17 chain plates essentially. That would have needed, yeah, okay, 16 because the forestay is different. 16 chain plates that would have needed replacing, and 16 turnbuckles that would have needed replacing. And we had found in lockers on the boat replacement rigging.
New rigging that hadn't been used. It was all rusty.
So rigging that had been bought and already gone rusty with having never been used.
It was a shame, really, but it made us think about taking spare rigging, and when you go, you take it and you think, oh, we've got our spare rigging, and then 2 years later you've been somewhere a bit humid and damp and hot, and you get it out and it's rusty.
Yeah.
Not a great.
And it's heavy and it's very bulky, and you've got to buy custom parts for all the joints and connections and so on.
And anyway, aside from the Dyneema, well, it's all related, but
it is.
We're supposed to be talking about the sail plan.
Well, the Dyneema has a big impact in the sail plan, in that if you're going to have roller reefing and either refurbish or replace the roller reefing for the Genoa, you have to have a stainless steel forestay. You can't have Dyneema going from here up to there and have roller reefing, because it has to be a foil with stainless steel inside. When we were thinking about the sail plan, some things came out really straightforwardly. Let's clear those and let's talk about those. So the first thing is, we knew we'd stripped off the rollers off the back of the main mast. So we knew we were going to have slab reefing, but the boom was in very poor condition and been modified to fit different, the roller furling and so on. So what we did was buy a brand new boom, a new Selden boom, and we very carefully and hopefully correctly set it to be slightly longer than the original, so that when it swings it just clears that forestay for the mizzen mast. Forestay obviously is going to the side of the boat, right? So there's two of them on each side, and so we've got a slightly longer boom, and we have bought in the end some new sails.
Well, we originally several years ago, tried to buy a second-hand main we thought we were going on the water sooner, and we thought we'd just give it a try to see how she sailed and what it was like, so we could get a better idea of what we needed. Well, it was an absolute nightmare trying to work out what size and whether it was the right kind of sail, because of course not many people have got ketch rigs these days,
Yes.
and it doesn't really relate very well with the length of the mast and the length of the boom. They're not the same proportions, it turns out. So we bought what looked like it would be a good fit, which was, I can't remember what
We
boat it
couldn't
was
get it.
from.
It was from a westerly of some sort. We couldn't get anything with a shorter boom for the height of the mast. So ours is a relatively tall, narrow sail.
Yeah,
The
so
boom
we
is
thought,
much shorter.
oh, well, never mind, it'll be all right, because we can just use part of the
We
sail.
could refit.
But when we laid it out and looked at it, oh, this didn't fit at all. You could not work out how it could possibly be made to make any sense. You ended up with a sail which only went sort of
2/3 of the way.
2/3 of the way up the mast or something. It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and
So-
at that point we realised this second-hand sail thing is going to be either really difficult or impossible.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we were very lucky to be able to get a new, well, we haven't got a new mizzen, but we've got a new set of sails up for us. We're very lucky.
Thanks to Crusader sales and thanks to fortunate timing, we actually ordered these before inflation suddenly took off and the prices went up by a very large amount. So we have got the World Cruising heavy duty, fully battened main from Crusader sales, and we bought and I can't remember the name of it, but a mainsail slide system. So we have a plastic track.
You'll have to look it up and
Yeah.
put it on the screen.
We have a plastic track that will be permanently fitted into the groove on the back of the mast, and then batten cars that slide up and down that very easily. So we should be in a position where you just let go of the halyard and the sail falls down.
Given that our mast is very old and just been refurbished and repainted by us, we felt that the
track
the
wasn't
track
very good.
would be a good investment.
Yes, the track on the mast isn't very good, so
get the sail up and down a lot more easily with less work.
And so we're going to, that sail will drop into a sail pack here. So we will
Beautifully drawn by Dave.
have lazy jacks
So I
to.
think how many reefing points did we get?
Three.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 reefing points, and that should all correlate with the new boom.
I was really impressed. I don't know whether Dave was as much as I was, but the guy from Crusader Sales spent hours on the phone today discussing the whole business with the Dyneema rigging and making sure that he was confident that what we suggested would work, which I thought was very reassuring and helpful.
Now, 90% of those conversations were not about the main, because the main is relatively straightforward. Getting all the measurements is quite scary and so on. But so let's talk about the foresails.
Yes.
We have gone for a cutter rig. So just after our bow roller, we've got our windlass. And just after,
that's what that lumpy thing is.
That's my windlass. It's a beautiful windlass. And just after that, we will have our dinghy on deck, which is a Highfield rib. And so just between the two of them, we have space to mount to the deck and up to the mast and in a forestay. And so as part of our cutter rig, we're going to have a Dyneema inner forestay. In fact, we will have 2 inner forestay lines, and one of them will have permanently hanked onto it with soft hanks a storm jib, and the other will have permanently hanked onto it, well, permanently when you're at sea anyway, a staysail. So whichever sail isn't used, that inner forestay gets disconnected and the sail goes in a sail bag at the bottom of the mast. And so when you want to swap sails, you don't have to hank on a new sail. You just carry the bottom of the forestay forward and put it on and tension it, and then you can hoist that sail. So you can actually have both of them up at the same time, because that'll be 2 halyards, 2 in the forestays. So we could do wing on wing with our storm jib and staysail. You can hoist one and lower the other, so you don't have to go headless. So that should make it.
It's always best not to be headless because you can't see very well with that head.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that's our inner forestay. And that's where it used more budget than ideally, and we can see that budget change in the latest update from Sailing Florence, where they've gone from a hang-on staysail to a continuous line furler staysail. So if we could have afforded it, we would have both the storm jib and the staysail on a continuous line furler, so that they would not need to be hoisted in the same way.
No.
Couldn't afford it, so we haven't done that. But our Yankee or our forestay, we have a permanent forestay in Dyneema. And then we have just behind that, mounted to the bow roller, a Yankee on a continuous line furler. Harbour is the one that we've. And so we love the idea of the continuous line furler, what all the Vendée Globe boats do, and they have about 4 of them of different sized jibs going forward. We can either have the Yankee out or furled or lowered to depth.
Yes, it doesn't reach using the furler, but furler is just putting it away.
Yes, but you hoist it furled, and that's brilliant because it means that when we're at anchor, we can lower it, reduce the windage, reduce UV damage. If you're expecting really bad weather, you're not going to be using your Yankee when it's a force 8 plus. So you furl it and you lower it to reduce the windage and protect the sail.
But the benefit of having it on a furl is that it's easier to hoist it out when you want it.
Yes.
Basically.
And so if you're in those days where you want to be able to reduce and increase your sail area to cope with squalls, wind changes, you just have the Yankee up. You furl it when the wind decreases, you unfurl it when the wind decreases. And so our sail plan is based on having 3 foresails, the storm jib, the staysail, and the Yankee, able to use them in different combinations, but each sail is either up and out or down. In our longer term budget, and this would be the transformation for light wind sailing, is we do want to fit a removable bowsprit off the paper, off the screen.
I'm not sure Dave's idea of scaling quite.
No. And that removable bowsprit will have a continuous line furler on the end of it. And so that can be used. Our GoPro got too hot, so we hope we'll manage to finish this time. Right, I think we were just saying what we would love to add in the future.
Dave drew an enormously long 6-foot bowsprit.
We're going to have a 100-foot bowsprit.
Given that people have commented that our bow roller looks like we're trying to be Vikings.
So we're going to have a beautiful extending bowsprit. And that'll be exciting because we will have to do it DIY because we don't have the money to go and buy a fancy one. And that would one day, we would love to have that bowsprit with a continuous line furler, one that can be used either top or bottom furling. Oh. So we use it for bottom furling, for going upwind and reaching. And so at that point, somewhere here, we have the most enormous Code 0. And that can take us from going fully upwind through to broad reaching.
That we would like to be able to take us through, but at the moment we don't have one. So
no, don't have one.
Not happening.
It's not happening. And then, as well as the Code 0, we would love a downwind sail flying off the same bowsprit. And those are, we think, the big game changer from 1977 to the current day. The other one that's of course fun to have, we talked a little bit about the fact we've got a mizzen mast. We are going to have to adjust our mizzen a little bit. We've got a reasonably good quality mizzen sail, but we're going to have to get it recut because we've got boom problems again, and we're going to have to shorten our mizzen boom because we've got all our aft solar, and on a boat with an electric motor, no fossil fuels, solar is more important than the size of your mizzen.
Some of our mizzen sail.
One day Dave would love a big, fancy, modern, fat head mizzen, fully battened. We're not going to have that for a long time, if ever.
We hope to have some adjustments made to our current mizzen sail.
And then we've also got a very old, but it would be really nice to update it, mizzen staysail, I think they're called, which is the sail that goes like that and is a reaching sail. Anything we can do to boost the light wind performance long term is going to be great, because we're going to just drifting otherwise.
Drifting around.
We are going to sail. We will sail when there's no wind. We're not.
We won't be sailing. We'll just be drifting.
Yeah,
Dave's brother came to rescue us once because he thought we'd been drifting around so long on our Sprint 15. We surely must need to be rescued. We were lying on the decks paddling with our paddles.
Yeah, it's fine. So that's where we're at. So we've got a brand new storm jib, a brand new staysail, a brand new Yankee, a brand new main, and we will be recutting our mizzen. That's enough to get us afloat.
It's very exciting. I can't wait to get the masts up, to be perfectly honest. First of all, to check that all this rigging is going to work, and secondly, just to be able to see the sails up. It's going to be lovely.
So
exciting.
Our goal at the moment is that we would hope to get our mizzen mast up before winter, and particularly before our very nice neighbour Richard gets his woods catamaran out, because while his catamaran's in the water, it's easier for the boatyard to get their high lift in place.
The rigging's nearly finished.
Yes.
So nearly finished.
The main mast needs quite a lot of work doing on it still, things like wiring, aerials, refitting the mast foot, etc, etc. We won't even try to put that up until next year. At least if the mizzen mast and Dyneema rigging and chain plates survive a winter in the Menai Strait,
it'd be very encouraging.
That will give us a lot more confidence.
That we added.
Yeah. And the other thing about the mizzen mast is getting mizzen mast up and the boom in place allows us to finalise the aft solar.
We can check how much too long our boom is, which will be very good thing to do.
Yes. That's going to all be cut down massively from what we've said.
A long talking video, and we tend to get distracted, so hopefully we'll cut it down sufficiently for it to make sense for you.
This is Tuesday evening. It'll come out on Saturday because this weekend is a non-boat work weekend.
We've got a very special guest on our boat.
Jane's sister is coming to join us for the weekend, and we're going to be castle visiting and beach visiting and so on. Thanks very much for watching.
If you like the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up.
And if you think we're completely crazy with our sail plan,
make lots of comments.
If you think that going for continuous line furlers and multiple sails is a good way forward, we'd love to hear from that as well.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.